You hired a Google Ads agency in Dubai to bring in quality leads. What you instead got was an SEO specialist. They use the same terms, keywords, CPCs. On the call, it sounds just about right. But they're working on organic, and Google Ads are basically a part of performance marketing. Very different discipline, very different strategy. 3 months later, when you ask them about the results and you have no leads, what you'll get is one sentence. Organic takes time, sir. And they happily walk away with their 3 months of retainers. If you're hiring a Google Ads agency in Dubai, here are the top 5 things that you need to check for before you take them on board. The number one question that you ask them is what is the total budget that they've handled so far? And the biggest budget that they've handled for a campaign. Doesn't matter if it's your industry or any other industry. This single question will tell you what is their capability of handling and scaling budgets. An agency that handles 5,000 dirhams worth of budget is not going to be the same as someone who handles 50,000 dirhams of budget. An agency that runs only one account versus 15 accounts is not going to be the same. The more budget that they've spent, the better their learnings are going to be. The better their insights are going to be. And based on that, they can help you really get good results for your Google Ads campaigns. Just for context, our spend is roughly 2 million dirhams across 350 plus campaigns. And that too for a limited period, not an all time result. All time, it goes significantly high. Question number two: how many industries have they run? It's good to have a niche agency that specializes in your industry, but having breadth for multiple campaigns and that experience of running multiple campaigns, there's almost always an insight that you can use from one industry and place it into another. If they've run it in only one industry, chances are they're going to be very good in that. But what happens when you scale? What happens when you introduce a new product line? What happens if, let's say, instead of B2C, you decide to add a B2B layer on top of your campaigns? The campaigns break, the results break. So for longevity and to have someone who really understands how Google Ads work inside out, you need someone that has worked across multiple industries. For example, we have experience across 17 industries and hundreds of campaigns. So that tells us what we can pick up from one industry and place it into another. For example, we found out in the app development industry that a particular vertical was somewhere that was getting a good result and it was able to get better leads at a reduced price. We took that learning and we placed that into real estate. Instead of bidding for apartments for sale in Dubai, we focused on that specific niche. As a result, the overall cost per click, the overall cost per lead came down tremendously, and the campaign was a success. Question number three: ask for campaign structure and strategy. Any keyword tool would happily hand you a list of keywords that you should target. I mean, you can open up Claude or Gemini or GPT or whatever and ask it for 10 keywords that you should use. But should you use it? What's the difficulty like on it? What are other people bidding on it? Does it really make sense with your specific offer? Where's the gap? For example, in the IT industry, we found out that one particular segment, one small segment, which did not have a lot of volume, was there, but it was underserved. No one was actually working on it. What they were instead focusing on was the head term. When I say the head term, I mean the industry category. For example, if I say development, I would say web development, but not say um, real estate website development company. The difference is that the longer term keywords, these phrases, are usually cheaper in cost. They come into action if you're running a broad match campaign on, let's say, website development company. So that automatically includes all of this. But as a part of the parent keyword, if I run the campaign on that smaller, longer tail keyword, chances are no one else is directly bidding on it. And if my landing page is directly in line with it, and so is my ad, my cost per click is going to be significantly lower. My quality score is going to be high, and my cost per lead is going to be very good. So when you talk to an agency, Ask them for a specific strategy that goes just beyond standard keywords. Ask them what themes they're going to put in. Ask them how does that reflect on the landing page, the ads, the copy. So ask to see a structure. If they show you a keyword list, you have your answer. Number 4, ask how they manage conversion tracking. What do they actually consider as a conversion, especially in your industry and your particular context? I've seen campaigns, I've seen accounts where they counted clicks to the WhatsApp widget as a conversion. There's no guarantee that person would ever contact you for a lead gen campaign. A form submission is much more accurate in this case. And then once that particular conversion comes in, which is basically the raw lead, what infrastructure do they have in place that the CRM data can be synced back to the ad account so that your offline conversions can tell Google what kind of clicks are converting into qualified leads and converted leads. Once you put that data in, you can start bidding for that instead of just raw form submissions and just for raw clicks. So, conversion tracking, and this is where a lot of campaigns fail. One of our clients, when he came in and we saw his ad account, we saw that he had been running a campaign at roughly 8,000 dirhams a month for 3 months. There was no conversion tracking in place. So he had effectively spent 24,000 dirhams only optimizing the campaign on clicks. And he was getting that. There was a lot of traffic. The keywords might be relevant to some extent, but the intent based on the signal that was required was never there. So check for conversion tracking and how are they implementing it. Last one, ask them how often do they update negative keywords. On a broad match campaign, your campaign would be delivering far and wide. But once you take a look under the hood, you'll see you're showing up on keywords that you don't even intend to. A broad match campaign does just that, and a lot more actually when it comes to causing harm. So, until and unless you don't have a curated list of negative keywords, one set that you start off with, and the other that you keep on adding to as you progress through the campaign, if you don't have that in place, you would be leaking budgets in a lot of places. Now, on the face of it, it might look like, okay, this only costed me 1.5 dirhams, this only costed me a dirham. But when you combine the total impact, you can see roughly 30 to 50% of your budget being wasted. That's a small leak, as in the fix is small, but the budget implication that comes out of it is quite huge. All you need to do is keep an eye on the negative search terms. What keywords do you don't want to rank for? Keep on adding that to the list, and your budget will stay contained. So, total spend, industries, structure, conversion tracking, and how often they update negative keywords. These 5 questions will tell you a lot about an agency as compared to anything else. And you don't even need to know a word about Google Ads. It's just that the response that comes out of it is going to help you automatically filter out who should you go ahead with and who you should leave out. And that's what our sales call typically is about. That's the first call that we do, to understand all of this and then decide on a strategy and give you a plan that helps you achieve greater results with Google Ads.